called the restroom or the bathroom, it was a toilet room. It's now our coffee bar.
That's where I left my Pepsi, so it wouldn't get.
Okay, that's good. Now, there were two reasons they brought this depot across town. Number one, Northern Pacific had just put theirs depot in over there where all that aluminum's piled now. It's no longer there. And number two, our town was developing more in this area on this side of the Touchy River. So they moved this whole building in 1899, and it took about 3 weeks to move it.
Oh, they actually moved the building.
This whole building, they moved.
Ah, I
Didn't tear
figured
it
they
down.
just tore it down.
No,
and,
they moved the whole building. They put roller locks underneath it.
yeah, sure.
And then they pulled it with an old winch and mules or a horse. Took 3 weeks. Now the other depot over there was bought by Gladys Herbs Fletcher, and it was moved to the second block out 4th Street. If you drive around town to look at some of those homes, you'll spot it right away. It's still a pinkish orange color, and it has NP on it.
Really?
Now, when I grew up in this town, this street was full of railroad tracks because they had Northern over there and Union here. And I didn't even know the name of the street. It's Commercial Street, but I always called it, we kids called it Railroad Street because it's easier to say you're tooling around town on your bicycle as a kid, right? And it's easier to say, I'll meet you at the corner of First and Railroad. So we kids always called it Railroad because there was 4 sets of tracks, 2 for Union, 2 for Northern. Now you see one single set of tracks, right? It's still a working line. It comes in several times a week and goes out to the Seneca Cannery that you've seen out here. When you leave town tomorrow or whenever you're leaving, Sunday maybe?
Sunday.
Okay, you'll pass that cannery, and the Seneca sign has a little green giant on it. Well, when they started the canneries in this valley, it was in the 30s, and it was originally called Blue Mountain. Then it was bought by Green Giant, then Pillsbury, and now it's Seneca. And they used to grow peas. All summer they grew the early peas in the valley down here, and then the late summer peas up toward the mountain and the higher elevation. And they would can peas all summer out here. And when I was a teenager, you couldn't wait till you were old enough to work in Green Giant Cannery. That was a big thing then. So by the time you were a senior, your spring of your senior year, you were 18, you got to work in the cannery.
The Jolly Green Giant.
Right. So now they don't can peas out here anymore. It's mainly asparagus.
Okay.
And they did, for a while, were canning a big percentage of the world's asparagus. But from what I'm hearing, Peru is giving us competition now with asparagus. And Jenny just told me that Wednesday was the last day of canning asparagus. They don't have a demand like they used to, and that's really going to hurt our town.
That's kind of sad.
That's going to hurt our town badly, because they no longer can peas here. But in the winter, they do seed peas, the dried peas for planting, and they package them, and they ship those back to the Midwest, to the Valley of the Green Giant. This interesting little bench here, this was a jeweler's bench and was on Main Street. This little tray, he could be sitting here on his stool, working on a watch, something with small parts, see how small the drawers are? And he'd pull the tray out, so if he dropped anything, the tray would catch it. It's on Main Street, one of our jewelry stores. That popcorn popper, you might want a picture of it. That is very unique also, and it was on Main Street in front of one of our smoke shops in the early 1900s.
Wow.
And it not only popped popcorn, it roasted peanuts as well. Don't ask for a demonstration.
I was going to say, I'd love to have that.
Isn't it beautiful?
I'd put it to work.
Yeah.
I'd use it.
Yeah.
That'd be something.
Okay, 06. Here's the courthouse. Right about here's where we are today. Originally, we were down over here on the other side of the Touchy. And in the next room, I'll show you an 1884 sketch of Dayton. It shows you exactly where we were. This beautiful building here is the old Central School. It was built in 1903, and Dayton did have one of the earliest school districts in the state. And it was built in 1903, and then they tore it down during the 50s so that they could build a one-story school in that school ground area.
Wow.
When they tore it down during the 50s, they saved these beautiful overhead lights. Had them stored in the basement of one of our furniture stores. And they started rewiring, they pulled them out, put them to use.
Good.
So as you come through the door here, there's plaques on each side. These are lifetime members who've paid a state. We didn't become a state till 1889. Here's Main Street, the vacant lot right here. That's where the courthouse is now. It wasn't built till 1887. Right about here's where we are now. But as you came into town from Walla Walla, from that end, along the base of that great big hill down there, that's where the tracks originally came into town.
Okay.
And that's where the depot was originally located,
okay.
over on Cameron Street. Okay? And they moved us all the way from there, around across the Tushy River, all the way up to here.
Okay, gotcha.
These scratch marks on the hill, that's the old stagecoach route that came into Dayton from Walla Walla. See how big Dayton was in 1884? We were third in size in the territory, right behind Walla Walla and Seattle. Quite a contrast to what we are today.
So he was asking me a question today that I really couldn't answer. He said, Mom, do you think that just when it runs out of gas, it turns into the electric part?
No.
And I said, I don't know. I totally doubt it, but I don't know.
Tell him that when the gas engine needs a little extra power, the electric part kicks in
Oh.
to give it a boost.
And how many miles to the gallon do you get?
66.
Okay, I told him I was guessing 50.
Oh,
19 and 15. Wow. 48 star flag. 48 stars. 48 states.
In commemoration of the end of World War I, this is my dad right here. He was born in 1897.
Oh, wow. That'd be a special picture.
Yeah, it is. I have it in the original little, like they used to make postcards out of old pictures. And Jenny sent it in and had a negative made and had it enlarged.
That's neat.
Yeah, and their car. And it's their house, and this was the little, all used to be the little outside trunk on the cars, on the end of the cars. See, today was originally built by Jacob Weinhardt. And when he built it, it was called the Weinhardt Hall. And on the Main Street level was a famous saloon about where the cafe is now. And this is a card table from the famous 1800s saloon. Notice the pockets, they put their poker chips and cards. And when they played cards, they'd set their cigars and their beer in the pockets.
Oh, beat up.
And all four pockets have burn marks from the old cigars. Isn't that interesting?
Well, I've seen tables like this.
Similar, old Weinhardt Hall, in about 1990, and restored it into that beautiful Victorian hotel. These two pump organs still play, if you know how to play a pump organ, beautifully. This one was in our Episcopal church. And all of these clocks are Seth Thomas, that's a Seth Thomas. And the clock above the china cabinet is also Seth Thomas, and you could even see the stamp in there. I don't know if you can get that in your camera or not, because of the lighting.
Yep, I got it. Looks pretty good.
And you paid your bill early. He might give you, the owner might give you a little gift, a premium for paying your bill early.
Wow.
And then the little Coca-Cola glass on the top shelf,
Yeah.
that has the mission on it. There was a business on Main Street close to the theater, right where the Liberty is now, called the Mission Tavern. It started out as an ice cream parlor, and then later they sold beer, and it was a little restaurant. And I remember as a child sitting in the booths toward the front. That's where I had my first hamburger and milkshake, even as a child. People that came in and were going to have a beer had to go sit in the back. And not too long ago, one of our old timers even told me that not only did they want you to sit in the back, but if you were just going into the Mission for a beer, they preferred you come in through the alley door.
Come in, how they darn.
Now this room here, the pantry, is not original. They added the pantry when they restored the depot. So if they had a show going on in here and they wanted to lock the kitchen, they had plumbing, a sink, and wiring in here so the people that were renting the gallery could make coffee. And before we leave this room, this is one of my favorites. That painting was painted by a local artist who married a traveling minister